Good evening, Fernwood. It is your TV pal Neil, and it's time for some more late night variety madness with the next episode of Fernwood Tonight. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, where the heck have you been? I have been reacting to the entirety of Mary Hartman, and now Fernwood Tonight, and we will continue that today with the July 18th episode. It's episode 11, I believe, and well, let's take a look at last Friday. We started with a single clarinet and a tambourine as the Mirthmakers have taken a job at a wedding and are not there to perform for the show. This gives Barth some room to perform a song of his own, an ode to Fernwood. Then we bring on Daredevil Virgil Sims, who is there to announce that he will be jumping motorhomes. And no, he doesn't mean jumping over motorhomes. He means that he will be jumping full-on recreational vehicles. We get to know a little bit more about Virgil and his dog Winky before bringing on Emmanuel Kaczynski, who is an anthropologist who is there to break down some of the mythology about people of different races. And everyone, let's just say that last Friday got pretty messy. Today we're going to watch the first episode of week 3. Can't say how messy this will be, so I suppose we better just start.
From Fernwood Tonight, coming to you live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Kimball. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Kevin McCormick, a 6-year-old trombonist. Harold Clemens, with some startling news for tennis players. Mrs. Lillian Lattimore with her new weight loss program, and Happy Kind and the Mirthmakers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now your host and mine, Mr. Barth Kimball.
Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what I like to think of as Fernwood's finest hour. It's a shame you only get to see half of it, but that's where we are here in Fernwood tonight. We like to do things that way. We try to meet people halfway. In fact, if you think about it, each show is half music, half talk, half serious talk, and if Jerry were here, half wet. I know that's the way you like it. And for me, well, where else would I go in Fernwood? Oh, here's halfway himself. Yes, you did. Just a joke to warm things up there. Where else would I go really this late at night in Fernwood? I'm glad to be here with these people. We're kind of partners, you know, you and I. And I think you know that I've taken on a new partner, really. And no, ladies, don't get worried. I'm not getting married or anything like that. No, I'm still just a phone call away. But if you've been watching the show regularly, and shame on you if you haven't, you may know that a Fernwood lady named Mrs. Ruth Dunbar has decided to enter the entertainment industry as an agent. And no jokes about agents here. I know people say an agent is a guy that can spend 6 months in a cave and come out with a suntan, you know, and all that kind of thing. It's not really true. But since she has really no prior experience in this sort of thing, she's asked me to step in and kind of lend some of my valuable career guidance. I even had to show her how to put someone on hold. Isn't that funny? She didn't even know that. Now, just so nobody gets the wrong idea about what I think could be the most important partnership in show business since Cher divorced Greg Allman, let me say right here that I will be participating in revenues earned by Mrs. Dunbar's clients at just as some small recompense for my advice and guidance. I suppose I could take the time out from my really busy schedule and lend this kind of assistance and not take a cent. But as someone a lot wiser than us once said, free advice is worth exactly what you pay for it, and I'm sure he was paid rather handsomely for that. Our first client's actually going to be Mr. and Mrs. Dunbar's daughters. Did you know that?
It's a coincidence.
And you'll be seeing those Dunbar daughters in a big production number right here on the show, so try to be patient. And speaking of trying patience, here is our talent segment of Fernwood Tonight. We call it Rocket to Stardom. Thank you. Our first guest tonight is someone really no one is talking about. Maybe that's because he does not have the proper career guidance. I don't know. Let's have a look at a talent who is not handled by the Mother Dunbar Star Agency, which I believe is
a Gimbalco Enterprises.
Why not earn the money, Jerry? Let's just see what this little tyke is doing wrong, and will you please do your best to welcome him as if you've heard of him and as if you cared, little Kevin McCormick. Have a little seat here.
How are you, Kevin? I'm Jerry Hubbard. Remember that name if you go places.
You might want to just sit back there and rest your bone over here.
Kevin, that trombone is longer than you are, isn't it? Especially when the slide part is...
Well, it's not longer than he was up there, I'll tell you that.
How do you get down to the studio? Did you come by yourself, like on a bus or something? Or does someone bring you down, drive you down?
Mom and Dad.
Your mom and dad, huh? Did they teach you how to play the trombone, too?
No, yeah. No.
Nope, yep. Oh, hey, not commit yourself. Your dad did. Well, he did a, yeah. Great
Did
job.
your father bother to mention to you that the trombone is a dead instrument?
No, matter of fact, I don't think he would even come with you.
Really? Well, I guess that's why your father is driving you to the studio and I'm here. At any rate, Kevin, I think you have a great deal of potential. I think one of the
I think, Kevin, what Barth is trying to say, you have kind of a rare talent which is about to blossom, burst forth into fruition, and Barth here could well be your fertilizer.
Oh, Jerry, you sure know how to spread it around, don't you?
You know how to sniff out talent, too.
Yeah,
Cute kid, yes.
Up to my knees in it.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you, Kevin. And just stick around. We'll be right back after these important words. Hi. We're back. Our next guest is a reporter for the Fernwood Courier, that rag that masquerades locally as a newspaper. He claims to have sold an article that will soon be published in Sports Illustrated, which could be pretty good for him,
That's
I think.
quite a magazine.
Please welcome Mr. Harold Clemens.
Jerry Hubbard, Kevin McDonald, the trombonist.
Hi.
The trombone.
The trombonist.
Just a thrill.
He's not much smaller than that racket, is he? Or not much bigger than that racket. Yeah.
Shorter.
Yeah, he's actually short. Great, Jerry. Harold, I understand you're into sports reporting now as well as your other duties. And what's this big article of yours all about?
Well, as you know, I'm one of the top tennis players in the area.
Didn't know it, but
Didn't know that?
Do
Yeah,
now.
I'm teaching on weekends, teaching tennis on weekends.
Good thing to know.
Yeah. I decided to write an article designed to instruct certain pupils on how to improve their game.
Well, that's exactly which pupils. I mean, what is this article called?
It's called Power Tennis for the Blind.
Power tennis for the blind. That sounds kind of like a challenging concept.
It is. Thank you, Barth.
Well, the challenge, I guess, is part of playing tennis.
Well, I think it's a credit to him that he has spent time working with those people.
I do, too.
A lot of
Absolutely.
people would leave them to their own devices.
I'll tell you what we're doing now is, in order to help the blind player with his game, I've developed a series of new kinds of equipment for the blind player.
Great.
All right.
You're familiar with the wiffle ball?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wiffle ball, okay. I've designed a tennis ball that has one whiff in it, so that when it's hit, it goes, and the faster it goes, the higher the frequency. So
Higher
it's going
pitch, huh?
higher
Yeah, but you
pitch.
probably know about that. There's probably a
I doubt that he
speed with the
does.
ball, higher the pitch, or slower the pitch,
Right.
slower the pitch.
So
So
if
if you
it's-
have a musical ear, it'll help you out playing tennis.
Also, their hearing sense is way up there.
Yeah, well, they have that advantage there.
Now you ask, how does the player know he's making the proper contact with the ball? Okay, that's design factor number 2. We've designed a new racket for them. This isn't the one. It's still in research and development, but the normal
R&D.
racket, what?
R&D.
R&D, as they say, research and development. Gosh. Sorry. Anyway, normal racket is strung with gut strings or nylon strings, and the new racket, of course, will be strung with guitar strings. Now, what that does, the outer portion of the basket, as we call it at the pro shop, is strung with your baser strings, and the center portion is strung with the tenor strings.
So like middle C would be the sweet spot or something.
Exactly. And depending on where the impact of the ball is, determines what chord it is, and you can tell where it is on the basket.
And that, when you have like players playing, are they tuned to each other, that kind of thing, so that you have the harmony of the game?
Yeah, you do. You know, the Senior Chamber of Commerce had a doubles match last week that they sponsored, and it was just a lovely thing to listen to. The
It's a quartet, really.
boing, boing.
They get playing enough, and they can probably make a little tune and songs up as they play, too.
Sure.
Much like these touch telephones, it got to be quite a hobby.
Absolutely.
That's an idea for another book.
But this article is called
Oh, that was the backhand, too, wasn't it?
Tennis is a reflex game.
The lost chord there. The book is called, it's just an article at this point, isn't it? Called Power Tennis for the Blind. Any plans for a book?
Actually, yes. You know, I'm so confident that the article is going to do well. I've already designed the cover for the hardbound edition of the book. I will write if the article is a success. There it is right there. I'll probably be about this thick. I figure about that much information.
So they should look for it on the book stands and...
Blind people will be quite happy to see that, I think, when it's out there.
You know, it's good that a fellow like this, we need more teachers, tennis pros here in Fernwood. You know, I worked with a tennis instructor once, and he was more concerned on how you appear on the court, the clothes you wear, and your style. I asked him what to do about my backhand, and he recommended Jergens lotion.
While they're having fun and I'm not, we'll be right back. Guys with enough rhythm to brush their teeth. That's really something. Incredible. These guys play, I think, with a lot of team spirit. They're way beyond that whole ego thing you have thanks to years and years of working together. You don't even care who wins the song, who finishes first, do you? That's great. You know, Hap, you're quite a guy. Why don't you come on over here and rap with us a little bit, as you guys say.
Hello.
Hi.
Our young trombonist. Think you know Jerry?
Yes,
Jerry.
yes.
I bet Jerry in the dressing room backstage.
Green room. Great.
I think the fellas have been drinking. They've been down at the Capri Lounge again. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I notice when you leave, the tempo and the music is so much...
The aroma wafts over, too.
It's so much better. Hap, I know you've been pretty busy lately with a pet project of yours, am I right?
Oh, that's right. That's the charity work I've been doing. I've been entertaining the children out at the orphanage. It's wonderful.
Isn't that beautiful? Charity work. That's incredible. Gee, it's nice. Now you must get a nice kind of a warm glow almost knowing you're bringing just a little bit of sunshine to these kids.
That's right, and it's tax deductible, too.
That's sort of just a way of that sunshine kind of reflecting back a little bit of it on you, I guess.
That's nice.
When are you at the orphanage?
Every Saturday, you know, rain or shine, without fail. I just love to go out there. I never miss it. It's wonderful. You know, I go out and I play some inspirational clarinet for them, and I do some knock-knock jokes. But they don't get very far, because when I say knock-knock, they say come in, and there's...
They're not used to having that many visitors. I guess it's kind of a thrill.
That's true. But what I really do is I go out and I just spread love. Just spread it all.
If I could, I hate to interject this, Happy, but I happen to know about tax-deductible work. You can't deduct work you do. It must, by law, be a monetary contribution, I'm afraid.
Oh?
Yeah.
So that's every Saturday, huh?
Well, not every Saturday. In fact, we're thinking of cutting it down now.
Yeah, well, that's just terrific. I think a busy man like Happy taking time out of his schedule to go down and help those kids. You know, time is very precious to Hap, and
they're lovely, lovely children.
I think probably time is very precious to anyone your age.
That's true.
Great. Now, Hap, why don't you go back over there and see if you can't sober up the band a little bit, and we'll be talking to you later. Happy Klein, our musical director. How about it? You know, folks, one problem that so many Americans share is the problem of being overweight, or if you prefer, obese, or chubby, plump, fat, absolutely humongous, large butt. Call it what you will. If you fit into any of these categories, and not into your pants, if you know what I mean, you might be especially interested in my next guest. She owns and operates one of the most extraordinary weight loss clinics, in the whole world. Please welcome Mrs. Lillian Lattimore. I said have a seat. It'd be more like reduce your seat, wouldn't it? So, Miss Lattimore, I understand that you have a new program that's been very effective. Can you tell us about it?
Very effective, very effective. There's a great many people go to weight loss camps and reducing centers and diet resorts, all those namby-pamby institutions. Yes, well, what we are offering the chronically obese is a weight loss prison.
No nonsense there.
Okay, yeah. In other words, you're talking, is this an actual prison with bars on the windows and guards and everything?
Well, you heard I said prison. Run exactly like a criminal prison. Except, of course, you don't have to worry about food being lousy, because there isn't any.
So in other words, you just lock these people up and starve them.
You got a better idea?
Well, now, how do they spend their time in the meantime?
Oh, well, they sulk a lot. They got up in the morning and they skip breakfast. And then they walk around their cells until about noon, and then they skip lunch. Then they go out to the yard for an afternoon walk, do some exercises, come back to their rooms.
Just sit around and chew the fat then.
A little bit like that. Then we take them all down to the cafeteria, and they just sit there and skip dinner. This causes a little depression.
Yeah.
But in the long run, not as much depression as it would cause you if you were on the outside having to suffer the rejection of being overweight in this society.
Oh, which is the worst. One thing you hate, you go down the beach and you see those ladies go, "Hi, Joan," and the bottom of their arm goes back and... Oh, it's enough to make you just pack up your sandwiches, your cucumber slices,
That's
and
right.
get the heck off the beach. Yeah, and the back of the leg looks like a relief map of the world's great rivers. I know exactly. It's not very...
You have to have a sense of humor if you're fat. Now we...
When you're fat, it's jolly, isn't it?
Jolly well.
Okay.
So we made up a funny little test.
Is this it?
There you go.
You have a bad temper and you're
Okay,
fat
any of the
people,
bigger words there, Jerry, you can just tell
Now,
me.
if this test doesn't make you smile, you're probably too fat.
Okay.
Little self-test you
We
get.
start with question 1.
All right, I see.
Have you ever had to widen the finger holes on your telephone dialer?
That's bad.
Got one up there. Okay, fine.
Question 2. When you walk, does any part of your body drag on the sidewalk? Question 3. Do you get more than 3 calls a month from circus managers? 4. If you jump up and down once, does it take more than 5 minutes for your body to stop moving?
Or the people around you to stop moving, too. Here's one I
Or
like.
stop talking.
Yeah, that can be a problem, too. Have you ever hurled a relative in the air by sitting on the other end of the sofa? Now, that would depend on how heavy the relative was. Someone like Kevin down there might pop off with just a 120-pounder to sit down heavy.
Could happen.
Absolutely.
No,
Question 6 here. If you play the accordion, do you have to get 2 people to hold it in front of you? I walk back and forth. That's very good.
Or do people hesitate to drive their car around you because there is an energy crisis? That shows that
Absolutely.
it's a long drive. You know, is there a short way around?
Those little skirts you see with "honk" and "the road is yours" written on the back of them. I'll help you pass, that kind of thing.
Extra wide load. That's bad. Here's
Well,
another one.
I don't think we have to read the entire passage.
Oh, I see. No, did you ever wonder?
Better give that back to me.
Yeah. Did you ever wonder where weight goes when you lose it? Probably there's a huge mountain of yellow fat someplace they're going to discover out where the elephants die or something.
One can only hope for that, Jerry. Now, what is the name of your place again? What are you calling it?
the last resort.
The last resort. That's terrific, isn't it?
Living off the fat of the land down there, aren't you?
Okay, we'll be right back after this message.
Are there any more kids? The following is a public service announcement.
A terrible drought has struck the western part of the United States. It seems to have hit the state of California the worst, really, and Californians are being asked to cut back on water usages. Well, I, for one, don't think we in the state of Ohio should sit back idly and watch our fellow countrymen skip showers and only flush every second time. Tonight, I want to start a water relief fund for California. Now, I know that we in Fernwood can't solve California's drought problems ourselves. But we can make a token goodwill gesture to our friends out there so all of California will know that, hey, Fernwood cares, okay? How about we all step out of our offices and our houses and out into the streets? Every town, city, and village and hamlet here in the Fernwood area. Go into the streets, all of you people standing side by side, stretched from Fernwood to California. And with a man or woman at the end of the spigot, we pass water hand by hand. And all human being, all neighborly cross-country buffets. Hey, how about that? Okay? I'll drink to that. Excuse me. Get a little dry speaking here. Say that's good. If you don't like that idea, try this one. Take any water you Fernwoodians can spare and send it to me here at the studio. We here at Channel 6 will put your water into a tank truck. Can we get this? Are we getting this? Fine. When that truck is full, I will personally drive it to sunny California sometime in the winter. And I will present the water to the governor of California or somebody who knows him or thinks he knows him, and I will wait there all winter long, if necessary, to see that this water is used to good advantage. You'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you will have helped a Californian flush his toilet, or water his garden, or maybe even fill his swimming pool. Water for California is needed now. Okay? Thank you, and good night.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Kevin Brando as Kevin McCormick, Archie Hahn as Harold Clemens, and Carol Arthur as Lillian Lattimore.
Ooh. So we start this episode with Barth just reminding us that the Dunbars exist. And over the last couple of weeks, we met Debbie and Ruth and Stacy and Peggy. And apparently now Ruth is moving forward into becoming an agent. So that's a thing. I expect we will be seeing more of the Dunbars as we move forward. Then we have another rocket to stardom with young Kevin McCormick, who is there to perform When the Saints Go Marching In with just a little bit of Hold That Tiger. From my memory, right, I just remembered Hold That Tiger being one of those things that would pop up in the middle of a song for some reason. I never knew where it came from, but I Googled it just now and found an early recording from the Mills Brothers, who were a vocal jazz group of the early 20th century, I want to say 1940s. I remember listening to the Mills Brothers in my early days as a swing dancer and DJ. So, hey, let's just share a little bit of Mills Brothers. But then we bring up young Kevin, who is pretty sassy with Barth. And in this case, Barth is certainly playing the heel. He has done it with all of his young guests. He just downplays them at every turn. And it's sort of weirdly delicious. And I don't understand why I enjoy it. But it does remind me of the young wrestler MJF, who has been making waves at AEW. There's a recent video that I saw of him at a signing getting told off by, I believe it was a 12-year-old girl. I don't remember exactly how old she was, but she was pretty young, and they were going at it, and it was entertaining. So I'm going to share that here too. We then bring back Harold Clemens, who we hadn't seen since the last episode of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman. Clemens was in the first episode and the last episode, and a few episodes in between, of course, working for the Fernwood Courier. And in this case, he has written an article for Sports Illustrated because he has a new plan of power tennis for the blind. Now, this is the second time that I've heard folks with disabilities be referenced in this show. First, we had seen Hearing Ear Dogs for the Deaf, and now we're hearing Power Tennis for the Blind, and it's played for comedy. Clearly, the comedy in this is the absurdity of this idea, but it got me to thinking about various athletes with their own disabilities or dancers who are deaf, and how inspired I was by artists and athletes who no one thought could do what they did. I don't know if necessarily there have been blind tennis players, but certainly people could be really surprised by what they see in the world. So it was played for comedy in the 1970s. I think there's maybe a lot more to unpack here, but I'm not ready to unpack it just yet. Then we bring on Happy Kine, who has been volunteering with an orphanage recently to entertain the kids. He's doing it apparently for a big tax write-off until Jerry reminds him that tax write-offs have to be cash expenditures and not the work that you do. So that makes Happy maybe a little more hesitant about that position. And then we bring on Lillian Lattimore, who has a new weight loss plan, which is diet prisons. And apparently it sounds literally like torture. So I think what's being played here is just the absurdity of this plan, that anyone would think that this was an okay thing to do. It's just above the pale, or beyond the pale. I don't know what that expression is, but it is like literally locking people into prison and torturing them. And then we get a run of fat jokes, which, aren't as acceptable now as they were then. I'm sure there are pockets of people who are okay making fun of people who are overweight. So as with many things in this show, I'm going to focus on how absurd these folks are that are talking to us. And then we end with a public service announcement, which was about the California drought. I believe that Fernwood Tonight was shot in Hollywood, so they were right in the thick of it. And as I may have mentioned in the past, because I know that the drought was referenced in previous episodes, I grew up with the California drought. And a lot of the thoughts that were being levied here, oh, that was an unintentional water joke right now. A lot of the thoughts that were being presented here, those were things that I grew up with. I remember, and I think I'd mentioned having to conserve water in very strange ways. So that's stuff that I really remember. I think it's so odd here that Barth is suggesting this plan to send more water to Southern California, or California in general. And I know, at least when I was in college, that water management in Southern California is very complex. California has a very complex relationship with the communities around it, the states around it. I'm not maybe ready to unpack that either. So if you have thoughts about water management in California, or how it affects the surrounding areas from Colorado to Mexico, perhaps you can share them down in the comments. For now, that's all I've got to say about this episode. So now let us move forward to the topic of the week. And the question that I asked back in February was, if you could date any Fernwood resident, who would it be? And also, what would you do on that date? The first response comes from Zeta Davis. Dennis Foley, hands down. Where would I start? A big, huge kiss, since that's what he's known for. Good kisser. And Dennis Foley certainly did do a lot of kissing on Mary Hartman, Zeta. I can't say that I share the same opinion with you, but I'm happy to share yours. Dennis Foley is a complicated character, at least in the way I view him. He certainly did make an impact on the entirety of series. He's from episode 1 all the way through the end, with a brief dip in the middle. He had a lot of fans who really, really enjoyed him, and a lot of people who really, really hated him. And I don't think I have to tell you which side I sit on. But Zeta, someday I hope that you get a curly-haired policeman of your own. Everyone, that is the first episode of week 3 of Fernwood Tonight. Thank you for watching with me. Thank you so much for sticking around, leaving your comments, thoughts, feelings, and impressions down there in the comments. We will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.